Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I did the Fulani hairstyle with the quick weave in the back. I'm not real big on quick weaves. I usually do crochet, but I wanted to switch it up and do something different. So that is what I am doing. Right now, I'm separating the top portion from the back. As you guys know, it will be cornrows with rubber bands going towards the back. And then the back will be where the quick weave will lie. I'm right now just separating. And do y'all know my daughter does this every time I do her hair? Like, granted, I know you're a model, but she did not detangle her hair at all. So I'm over here like, girl, fighting for my life, trying to part across. So I did off camera. You guys gonna see once I start doing the cornrows, I detangled her whole head. Because for some reason, she think I'm supposed to do everything. So now that I have the back pent up, I am now doing the first braid. So I didn't really show you guys how I created the design itself. So what I'm going to say is, you're going to think about the person's middle part, and then you're going to go straight across that middle part where it's a little bit on one side and a little on the other side. I'm going to kind of show you guys right now what I mean. I'm going to point to that part. That part is the leading lady to this entire design. That is my guided braid. So once you see that I've created that whole part, all those braids will go in that one direction. And then when I go to the other side, you'll see like how I just met up to that one part. So that's why I wanted to show you guys that. I hope that helps you understand how to part your hair for this specific design. This is a very popular design, so I really wanted to do something quick and easy. But if you want to see a design that is a little bit more designer, like with a heart or anything like that, just comment below. But right now I am just braiding down the top portion until I get to that part where it's no longer any hair for me to go back to, which will be the part separating from the half up, half down type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just braiding it all the way down. And if you are enjoying my content, just hit that subscribe, like, and leave a comment saying if you like this hairstyle. And let me know what other hairstyles you may want to see. But yeah, don't hesitate. I do want to say that if you do want to do a different design, it is completely okay. Do the design that you choose. It is a ton of different designs you can go look for on Pinterest. I also have some designs of some Fulani hairstyles that I've also done with different designs that you can go look at as well on my Pinterest as Slay by Gemma. So just make sure y'all go and do whatever suits you. But if you want to do this design, I will stay tuned and really continue to watch how this design was completed. And yeah, but while you guys are watching me do the braid down, I want to talk about how long this hairstyle will actually last. This hairstyle will last at least a month and a half. I know you're like, what? Yes, a month and a half. I had this entire hairstyle in for a month and a half. Now, it's not going to look brand new, but I would say with it looking pretty good, I would say a month, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. It's all up to you, but I know for me, because I tied down the cornrow section with a scarf and then I put the curly pieces in a ponytail. Let me say this again. I basically just put my back part, which was the quick V part, and I put it in a ponytail, and then I wrapped the scarf around my entire head, and that's how I became Sleeping Beauty and went to bed every night. And then when I took a shower, I put a shower cap on. Now, you cannot get your hair wet if you are doing the quick weave method. Now, if you are getting a sew-in in the back, you can go swimming. If you're getting crochet in the back, you can go swimming. But if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it with a quick weave, you cannot go swimming. You can't go deep sea diving. You can't go do none of that. None of that. Because that cap is just going to slide on off. Them tracks is going to be gone off your head, because that is what activates the cap, which you guys will be seeing me do the liquid cap once I get done with the braid down. So I just want to put that out there, that if you want a hairstyle for a vacation like this, I would advise you to either get a sew-in the back if you want to do the curly, or I would suggest crochet. I would not get the quick weave version. So if you want to see how I did the crochet version, just head on over to the description box and you can just click that when you're done watching this tutorial, or I also put a card right here in the corner and you can just come back and hit that when you want to see it. And if you are a girly who likes to wear her own hair, you could just braid these braids down and then put some mousse or some gel on your curls and use the unbrush and really define those curls in little sections. And you could just rock your own hair, and then you can go swimming and do whatever you like. But if you want to keep your hair protected, you can do it this way with the quick weave that I'm showing you right now. So I'm just braiding it all the way down. And you want to make sure you're not braiding it too tight, but tight enough to where it's not hurting your client. You understand? And it's still looking nice and neat. So make sure you take your time. I do have this sped up. have braided down all of the braids, I am now adding the rubber bands on to each end, because even though I'm doing a quick weave, I still want to give the illusion that it's her hair. So I'm putting the rubber bands on, and you guys will see how I tie everything on in. But I just wanted to show you guys, you don't have to put rubber bands if you don't want to, because most likely the girls are going to cover it just a little anyway, but you can, just to create that separation. Now I am creating the braids in the back to just be flat enough for me to do the quick weave. If you are planning on doing a crochet, you can just do the same braid pattern that you see me doing, and you can just crochet on top. And you could do the same thing with the sewing as well. You might want to make it a little bit smaller if it's a sewing, but by the hair being curly and looking kind of bulky, just medium-sized braids are fine. And I do care about the format and the foundation of how I like to have my braids braided down in the back, even though they're going to be covered. I know some people say just braid it any which way, nobody will be able to see it, but I also like to think about takedown, so that is why I still make sure that the braids are nice and neat. Now the parts might not be parting the way that I will part the top, of course, but they won't be seen. But it doesn't matter as far as parts. But as far as like the braids being braiding, like, you know, actually looking like a braid and nice and neat, that will happen anyway. And the parts won't be super straight, but it'll be straight enough. So I'm just braiding it down, and I'm doing the pull-up method. I like to create that anchor braid that you just seen me doing before I start pulling up. I don't like to pull up from the nape of my client's hair. I just feel like it's pulling, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I do have an anchor braid going straight across first. And the way that I'm braiding, I'm grabbing 2 braids from the top, and I'm braiding that into 1 braid. And then I believe the last braid will have 3, but you guys get the point. You see I have like 2 on each braid, and I will point to show you guys just to make sure you know that it's 2 braids for each braid. And that is how I braid down the back part. But you could do it any way that you decide, because I do have a couple of different ways that I like to do my braiding foundation when I'm doing a half up, half down, or any type of Fulani hairstyle. So you can definitely check that out. I'm sure when you look at the other video that I did of the Fulani with the crochet, you're going to say, that's a different braid down. So yeah, but I'm just braiding it down. But you see I have went on one side. Now I'm going back to the right side and doing the braids on this side. It was like I started from the right side going to my left, and then I started doing a couple braids on the left side, and then I like to just go back to the other side and braid. So that way that the braid that will be in the middle, that will most likely be the braid that I anchor into with the latch hook. I want that one to be in the middle, so when she takes this down, she won't be looking like, where's my braid? She'll know that it's the middle braid. And I just like to do it in this way just because it just works for me, and I think it always turns out super neat. But again, if you want to do a sew-in, I would do these braids much smaller. You could still do the same braid foundation, but just smaller. But yeah, so I have about 2 more braids left, and then I am going to use the latch hook, and I'm going to put the hair up. But yeah, you just want to make sure you're taking your time. Make sure that your client's hair is detangled all the way through. And when you pull that braid up like you see me just do here, you want to make sure that it's not too tight at all. You don't want to make it too tight being pulled up. You want to make sure that it has some leeway and it's a little loose. And you see how I pulled against it just then? That's because of that reason right there. I want to make sure that it's not pulling up too high. And I like to use my unbrush while I'm braiding to detangle as I'm braiding. I hope that makes sense. And I just braid all the way down. And then with this braid being the last braid, I'm going to then put both of those braids, the one that's hanging on the side that you see right here, and the other side will join in this braid. So I'm starting off pulling that braid up. And then once I braid some more, I'm going to pull up the other side right here. You see, I just pulled it up, and I'm just going to braid it all the way down. And you want to make sure that this braid is braided all the way down to the very tip, because this is the last braid, and this is the braid that you will be tucking away. Some people like to sew it down. I don't feel like that's necessary, especially with this quick weave. Some people like to really sew it down. I don't like to do that. But unless you're going to sew in. So I'm going to make sure that I oil my client's scalp if I don't do anything else. But I'm oiling her scalp really well. just to make sure that it's nice and moisturized and oiled, because this part will be the part that will be put away. And then you see right here, I'm just latching it all the way through the braid, making sure that it is nice and tucked away and it's all ready. And you see, that's how it is. Now I'm putting the cap on. Now I know some of y'all gonna be coming from my cap because it's tan and some people do black, but I was like, this is what I got and this is what I'm gonna have. Me and my daughter had an agreement. I was like, you pick up the hair and I'll pick up the stuff. I forgot the brush to brush down this liquid cap. So that's why you see me doing this my finger mount. I was like, we're here now. You know, the hair store was closed. Y'all see it's dark. Y'all see that window? It's dark. The hair store is closed. So I was like, I could just use my finger. And you see I had to take the top off because my liquid cap, like the top had glued like onto it. So I had to, I couldn't pour it how I wanted to, but yeah. But you see right here, I'm just adding the towel on there and make sure it's not getting everywhere. But usually you want to use like a brush that they sell at the beauty supply store. But that was the one thing that I had forgotten. I was so upset. But my finger will do for right now. And I'm just using my finger and just making sure that I'm covering all of the back braids through the cap. You can kind of see through the cap. That's kind of the reason why I kind of like having like the tan. But I will use black. But I was like, I got to use what I got. Because, you know, I had got some sew-in here not too long ago. And I was like, these caps got to come to you. So I decided to use it on her because I know in the end, you're not going to see it. You're just not going to see it. So if you have a cap at home that's not black, but you know that you're doing this hairstyle, just know that nobody's going to see it. And for the record, you want to make sure that the cap is all the way over her head and then just cut the pieces out for her ears. But I was rushing y'all. I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. So now I am using my blow dryer cap. I love this one. You just attach the blow dryer and then turn it on and it puffs up and it dries it just like a heated dryer. Now here's the hair by Organique. It's Burmese and it is 3 bundles. I used only 1 pack. And that was me just showing you guys how it looked once it was all dry. You see that it's all dry. I had her under that hooded dryer for about 30 minutes. And then I just used the blow dryer for a good 5 minutes over it without using a hooded dryer. And now here I am just putting on the tracks. I just measure it, cut it, then I put the glue on the track, and then I just lay it across the cap. And I'm kind of going in a U type of way when I lay the tracks. Unfortunately, I was unable to get all of this footage. I had ran out of storage. So yeah, I was only able to show that much, but here it is all the way done. I had to go and delete some stuff. So here it is completely done. Now I'm cutting off the excess cap that you guys were seeing before. I'm cutting all that off. You want to make sure that you are very careful and you take your time when you're cutting this cap up off of your client, the excess cap that was holding over. I did keep that cap on, but you see, just take your time and really cut. I do have this sped up, so it looked like I'm going faster than what I really am. I really was going very slow to just make sure I didn't cut her braids or the rubber bands or her hair. Just making sure I was just being very particular when I was doing this. So just take your time and you're going to cut all this excess cap off. Even though, you know, this style is meant to be down the whole time, I still like to cut the part off in the back because you just never know if she wanted to use like a butterfly clip or something like that and pin it up and make it look really cute. Now here I am just using my latch hook and I am taking a little bit of that Burmese hair and I'm grabbing it with the latch hook through the rubber band to give the illusion that the hair is coming from the rubber band. And I'm going to be showing you that in a close-up. I wish I had a better angle for you guys to see, but I was like, it's better to just show this process. But I'm pretty much going underneath the rubber band, grabbing, and then I am pulling it through. And that is covering up the track in the middle, to be honest. It's a little piece, you know, after I laid all the tracks that I just really want to cover up. Plus, I want to give that illusion, but you see, just to even cover up the cap around the perimeter, I'm just grabbing and then feeding it through. So I hope you guys can see it. Again, if you want to see me do this hairstyle again, just let me know. But I'm going to be showing you guys. You see, I'm just going underneath. And then I grab some of the hair. That one slipped. I grab some of the hair, pull it through. And then voila. It's just covered up. But I'm getting all the rubber bands. I'm going underneath all the rubber bands. And I'm just pulling it through Or even you could do this if you don't have the rubber bands, you just go through the braid and pull it through. Now I'm using some mousse and I'm going on top of the Quickweave and I'm just letting it dry. I just want to define the curls and I'm just blow drying it dry. Just really making sure too that all of the tracks are dried on here really good. And yeah, I'm just making sure that everything is dried properly. So you just want to make sure that you go back over and just really blow dry it. And here is the finished product. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial and like it. Her hair turned out super cute. Make sure you check out these latest videos right here and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and hair grease. Thanks for watching.